walking up and down on the sea. You're a human being, but you stand on the shore and you are a God because there you feel God's unconditional love. There is no restlessness there. Unconditional love, remember, whether it's between friends, husband and wife, or just acquaintances, you can develop into that friendship unconditional love of God. So that's the key. That's the point we should remember in this subject, divine love or the true love. The true love is that there is one God, and he has split himself up into many, and he is seated in the hearts of each one of us. He wants to go back home, but he has given us free will to go back home or stay out in this delusion. As gods, we elect to go back home to him. As human beings, we will stay a while in this delusion until we have enough of it and we return home to God. Now, true friendship with this divine love supersedes family love and such limited forms of love, because these loves are conditioned. They're conditioned, as I have said, by selfishness, by possession, and by other faculties and conditions of this outward existence, like friendship on a business plane or on an artistic plane or some such plane as that. It's limited, is it not? Because these other things enter into it. But the true friendship is unlimited, unconditional. I remember Master wrote me a letter one time, a long time ago, from, I believe it was Portland, Oregon, when we first left Boston and went across the country and went up to Alaska and then came down and established this which you have now. And I think that's the greatest expression of true friendship, and it will point out to you as I read just what we must avoid and what we must foster if we are to enjoy true friendship with one another and, of course, with God. In this letter he said, this was written 1925, quite some time ago. This is what he said: I have found the law of love and reciprocal goodness are the strongest ties, the greatest impelling forces that make us responsible to one another. Not what you can give the other one, not what you can get out of another person, but, as he says, the greatest impelling forces, the law of love and reciprocal goodness. Why? Because God is seated in the hearts of each friend. In the heart of each friend. That's why the Master goes on, the material binding is futile. The material binding is futile and meaningless, especially where there is a spiritual tie. The material binding between you and your friend will pass away. It's got to. But that spiritual bond of divine love is eternal, because that's God himself. So in your friendship, be sure, if you want it to last, that it has those qualifications. I think that's one of the greatest letters I have received from the Master, because it just lays plainly before you. True friendship is on the spiritual plane. There can be great friendship on the material plane, but if it is backed up by the divine consciousness, unconditional love of God, seated in the hearts of each friend, then it is really true friendship, because it is eternal. The Guru-disciple relationship is the greatest, because it is built wholly on the desire, the mutual desire, to help one another, and by that union to create a great flame of spirit flowing from that friendship, which others can follow back home to our one abode of life. Going on a little bit, it is not possible or necessary to love all personally. That's one mistake I think we make when we consider the divine love of God unconditionally. Well, it's impossible to do that. But it does mean that we can realize this, and it can be realized only when you feel the presence of God in all, that God is seated in the hearts of all. And as such, you are always ready to help them when they need your help, when they need to be cheered up. When things are going wrong, they need a little solace. And sometimes when they're going wrongly on the material plane and they need material aid, it should be given according to your ability. That's what it means. True divine love does not mean that you can be personally associated with everybody to the fullest extent because you would do nothing else. But you can always feel God in whomever you meet. It makes no difference where it is. You can feel him, and you can lend that solace which you feel from the presence of God in you. That will help that other friend until finally he too, or that acquaintance or whom you meet, he too will gradually feel the presence of God through your goodness and through the fact that you have allowed God's love to flow through you. We do nothing about it. God is the doer. When he gets a channel, he uses it. That's spiritual law. That's the law which we have to realize. So feel God in the hearts of all. How can you do it? Through yoga. It's very difficult. People say, well, it takes lots of people that have enemies. I guess every other person's their enemy. I wouldn't want that condition, but I think that's the way it is by what's going on all around. Well, it's pretty hard for you to say, now, listen, you just feel God in the hearts of all, you'll be all right. It's impossible for him to do that. But if they practice yoga, which means union with God, if they really practice self-realization yoga and attain the presence of God, then his love flows through them. Then they can feel God in the hearts of all. Feeling that, then they can do these things of which we have been speaking. Because God is in all, there's no question of it. They must, and we must all feel and know that one eternal presence of God which is in and through all things, and that's divine love. Divine love is what? Divine love is the burning power of the consciousness of God's presence, his omniscience, his all-pervading consciousness. Can you separate the burning power from